About to get it going. I'm just sharing the link. I'm about to get it going. Just sharing the link. We're going to break down his whole podcast from yesterday. About to get the stream going. Just sharing the link. About to get it going. I'm about to get it going, guys. I'm just sharing the link real quick. If you guys wouldn't mind dropping a like, comment, subscribe, share the link, help me get it out there. I'm sharing it to as many places as I can. Baron broke this case wide open. I think there's probably 10 or so different places where the defense can get this case thrown out, man. It's crazy. It seems like the feds completely lied about a lot of things. man, getting people in here is a fucking struggle. Alright. Fuck it. We'll just start watching.
Vibe coders, ready to build more? Meet Base 44. Vibe coders, ready to build more? Meet Base 44. Prompted.
I think you were Patsy number one. And we view that rightly as a threat. When someone says death to America, we look and say, well, they shouldn't say that. And if they do, it means they mean it. When you have a sitting president threaten to wipe a country off the map, a civilization off the map, not a leadership, not a military, not verifiable military targets, but a civilization off the map. Well, time will tell. Time will tell whether that happens. And if it does, while we're on the air, obviously we'll look into it and cover it. I hope it does not. I hope cooler heads prevail. I hope this is some sort of maniacal negotiating tactic. Hopefully. We'll see. We'll see. In the meantime, we have other things to cover. In fact, I would argue that the Charlie Kirk investigation has never been more necessary than it is right now. On the eve of potentially some sort of chaotic civilization-ending war that he certainly would have opposed and likely passed away because he did oppose such types of activities, I think it becomes more incumbent on us now more than ever that we look carefully at who did it, how they did it, and why. I think the why might be playing out this evening. And if the why is playing out this evening, I think the who sort of plays itself out. Now, the how we're working on. I have my favorite theories. You can ask my sister and Daisy and I. We were examining very closely, zooming in on T-shirt movements in the immediate frames after the Big Bang, looking, does it look like, I don't have the microphone still out, or I'd show you, but does it look like the Rode microphone magnet had moved? And when it tilted up sideways, could you still see the outline of a Rode microphone? I mean, we were drilling down, really looking at it. So we're looking at that. We were drilling down, looking at his hands at every different frame. We were examining the from behind footage, frame by frame, as we were looking through it. So we're not giving up on the how. I have my favorite theories. I have theories that I could accept, and I have some I just refuse to accept, like white T-shirt guy on the sideline doing this. I don't say he didn't have anything to do with it, but I don't think he fired any kind of weapon. Palm gun Ricky. I don't think he fired a palm gun. I call him Palm Gun Ricky because it instantly everyone knows who I'm talking about. But so we'll get into some of that. Tonight, I have something big. I think it's big. And Daisy, if you could run in and drop that guy's name at the top of the run. I don't see it up there. We had a listener, a viewer, still in my old radio mindset. Everybody's a listener. We had a viewer who put us on to something. And we were able to flesh it out, find all the citations. really develop the timeline and come to an understanding that I think they've been lying to us from day one. Obviously, if they took him out in a way that we didn't, if it wasn't Tyler Robinson, they've been lying to us from day one. But I think the lie is even more sinister, because today I want to drill down on the 33-hour lie. And I'm going to say lie pretty confidently. It's still my opinion. It's still allegedly, but it's a confidently educated opinion. 33-hour lie. And why would they do such a lie? What is it about the 33 hours would they put that in there? Well, it's part of the frame-up job, ladies and gentlemen. It's part of framing him as a patsy, and we're going to get into it.
So, just so you guys know, if you haven't watched Baron's stream from last night, we are going to go through the entire thing. All credit to him and the reporting that he did, because he completely blew open this case, basically proving that the feds doctored evidence. The timelines don't add up. Tyler was in custody when he was supposedly making posts on the internet. The case is falling apart for the prosecution, and Baron Coleman has become their worst nightmare. Their absolute worst nightmare. And we are going to go through this podcast, and we are going to break it down, and we are going to talk about it. And Tyler is going to walk. There's not a doubt in my mind that Tyler walks. I would be shocked if Tyler didn't walk. And Baron's going to make the case that he doesn't think Tyler was ever supposed to make it this far. And I don't either. I think they were probably planning on taking him out when they went to pick him up, but he ended up turning himself in. Of course, these are just theories and, allegedly, but all of this makes sense. So
I'm going to get into it. That's number two. Third thing I have to say is, Zach, I'm going to have you on Friday for the members show, but you may not call your show a high IQ outfit, young man. Ensky, Skabinski, Sabutsky. Negative. Not going to happen. We're not playing that game, big boy. Not playing that game. There's only one high IQ outfit around here. There may be other high IQ shows. There may be other shows high IQ people watch. There's only one high IQ outfit, big fella. Slow down. Slow down. If you were watching Zach Costello today, you heard him refer to his show as a high IQ outfit. And I wasn't sure what to make of it. So I'm willing to let it pass just this one time. I'll be charging you $33 every time you say it from now on. Yeah, there's that number again. There's that number again. All right. So I want to do this. This is a rare Tuesday show. I don't normally do Tuesday shows. My typical schedule is Sunday, Monday, take a day off. A little research, a little relaxation, a little time with family. Wednesday, Thursday, take a day off or do a member show.
Guys, drop a comment in the stream.
Shabbat shalom, daddy's home. And then Sunday,
let me know where you're
watching
watching
the big
from.
show.
Let me know.
Usually the highest viewed show every week is the Sunday show.
Let me know what you think.
But this is a rare Tuesday show. This is a rare Tuesday show. As a result, I do have an opening, but I'm not going to read it. I've decided to pass on the opening today because, and I was explaining to them today while we were prepping for the show, I have a series of openings, a whole bunch of different openings that I prepped that are kind of bare bones. They're like halfway done. Some of them 3/4 of the way done. But a lot of times I will then tailor it. I'll go back and rewrite it in the hours leading up to the show. This show took so much research. We were researching right up to the very top. And the outline, the opening I want to do, I think I'd rather do another day. And what we're going to cover tonight is dense. I hope you have your thinking caps on, not your tinfoil hats, not your war hats. Put those away. Your thinking caps. I hope you have your thinking caps on, because what we're going to cover today is a blow-by-blow, very detailed timeline.
And I will pause and go through it and break down this timeline if you guys are not following along. But the timeline, this timeline is going to get Tyler Robinson, he's gonna walk. He's gonna get all charges dismissed.
And it's going to take, and I'll go back and forth. I'm not going to leave you high and dry. You're not going to get lost, but you're going to have to pay a little bit of attention. You're going to have to pay a little bit of attention as we do it. I want to first,
if a baker makes the perfect pie, if a glassblower creates a work,
give somebody credit because, this guy put us onto this. It's something we all kind of instinctively knew there was something wrong with this. It's a guy named Chris Friel, not sure how you pronounce this. This is his Twitter feed right here, CSPF 1961. He did a great bit of research and writing and provided it to our humble Daisy. And Daisy then put me onto it. And then we all jumped on a call and we sort of fleshed it out. And we were able to say, hey, there's a lot of support for what he's saying here. So some of it's original him. We've added quite a bit to it. We've jumbled it up. We've reworked it, moved it around, and created what we think is a pretty good run of the explanation here. So here's how it came together. We all instinctively knew on the night of September 10th, after Charlie Kirk had been taken down, and there was nobody found, we all instinctively knew eventually they'll figure out who did this, right? They'll find somebody. We weren't sure. I mean, I remember being talking to people, texting people, being on phone calls.
Hey, I've already went through this, so if you guys have any questions, if you guys are struggling to follow along, drop them in the comments. I will go over anything that you guys need. Baron did a phenomenal job and probably got this kid exonerated and probably saved an innocent life.
Calls, and we were all making guesses as who it might eventually be. And I think my final guess, I'd have to go back and look. My final guess was like some disaffected leftist with purple hair, a left-hander, because I assumed because the shot hit on the left-hand side, it was meant to be center. And, if you've ever shot a gun on your first shot, sometimes if you're right-handed, it misses low and to the left because you get a little anxious and you're not patient. Well, so a left-hander trying to hit him in the mouth or in the face would hit low and to the right, and it would hit his left hand. So I was thinking left-hander, some disaffected lefty, some craze ball. And we all just kind of threw in our guesses, and that was sort of my guess. I don't know that I keyed in on a particular person. There were a lot of names floating around initially. But if you go back in time and think about it, it was a long period of time. We were really sitting around. There was a lot of standing around, looking at things, tons of information flowing in. All kinds of people having different tips. There was a lot of good information, a lot of really bad information. And then the following day, we woke up and thought, man, they still hadn't found anybody? That's weird. This guy may have gotten away with it. I mean, I hate to sound morbid, not to borrow a line from ErikaKirk, not to be morbid, but, I mean, you wake up the next day and you're like, they still didn't find the guy? They had an all-night manhunt and he's nowhere to be found? And there was a whole nother day that took place. A whole day went by. All of September 10th, into the morning of September 11th, everybody wakes up and is like, seriously, they didn't catch anybody? Then all of September 11th takes place. And we have no feedback. During September 11th, we get FBI press conferences. We get the sheriff weighing in. We've got, for some reason, Kash Patel wandering around looking lost or looking multiple directions at once. A lot going on
Kash
September
Patel
11th. But we didn't get
out
any
of
news
his
of an
mind
arrest.
like he always does.
And it's not until we wake up the next day, the morning of September 12th, here on the God's time zone, Central time zone, Central Daylight time zone, we all wake up and there's no news yet. It's kind of that whole, man, they really gotten away with it. And then about an hour later, we hear, hey, they're organizing a press conference. We think they caught the guy. Oh, okay. And I think it was like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, Central time. They hold a press conference, and that's where Governor Cox announces, we got him. Woo! Finally. Who is it? I can't wait to find out. Well, we'd gotten a few clues, right? Because they had pictures they'd released and all this other kind of stuff. We're going to cover all this today. We're going to go over all this, I promise. But I'm just trying to set up sort of the grand timeline because I want to take you back. It's been more than 6 months, and you might have forgotten what it was like working through those first couple. And I think they're counting on you having forgotten it They've hidden information that that leaked out that they didn't release. We have some of that.
Yep.
They've changed stories and lied to us about some of the things that took place in that first 33 hours, give or take. There have been lies, changed information. We're going to cover that. And then there have been things that were hinted at, but were never really shown. And I think all of it builds a story. And this is why I want to cover it. This is why it's important. All of it builds a story of patent, blatant dishonesty by law enforcement. They're lying to your face and they know it. And the key is you don't know it. Most of you don't know it. I didn't even really realize it. I had a gut instinct, but no one had ever just painted it in a picture. No one had ever laid it out on the timeline and said, hey, bud, look, they're lying to your face. Every time they say 33 hours, they're lying. It's not necessarily an encoded, message to some secret society. Maybe it is, but it's not necessarily. It doesn't have to be.
They are
Websites your
definitely
competitors
lying.
don't want you to know. Part 2.
All you
They
do
are
is go to this
definitely
website,
lying.
and it lets you find out exactly how.
It might just be that they're covering up the frame job. It might be as simple as that. In order to cover up the frame job, they had to stretch out the timeline a little bit. And I'm going to prove that. I'm going to show you tonight why I believe that. Because I think I'm right.
He proves
I think I'm right. I think this show tonight's going to be a good show because we are going to show I'm 99.5% they're lying to you. 99.5% sure they're lying to you. I leave open a small possibility that one of these facts is wrong. And it would have to be wrong. So that's the first thing. I'm pretty sure they're lying to you. But the second thing is why they're lying to you is to frame Tyler Robinson.
Yep.
Because everybody keeps coming to us. They say, you got to prove it wasn't Tyler Robinson. Well, it's hard for me to prove somebody didn't take a shot. I mean, if you're claiming a gunshot took place and you're not giving me any evidence from which to refute it, you're not letting me see the autopsy photos, you're not letting me see the medical examiner's report, you're not letting me examine the body. It's hard for me to prove it wasn't a gunshot. I can have all my theories about microphones and necklaces. I can have all my theories about different angles that a shot might have come from. But if you're not going to let me examine any of the facts, how am I going to prove he didn't take the shot? That's ludicrous. And no courtroom would require that. The courtroom doesn't require you to prove anything as the defendant. But I can prove they're lying about this. I'm pretty confident they're lying about this. I think by the end of the night, you'll agree with me. So I do want to jump into it. I want to jump right into it because I think it's important. And I thank Chris, I thank him for pointing us in the direction of some of this stuff. So where I want to open up, this is a legal filing that was released here recently. It is, I don't know the date on it. What date is it? March 30th, I think. Let me blow it up a little bit so we can all look together. All right. This is your legal filing that starts us down the rabbit trail that I think demonstrates they lied right to your face. This is the motion to exclude still photographers, TV cameras, and microphones from the courtroom. Evidentiary hearing requested. You will notice this is a long document. The conclusion is on page 181. Ladies and gentlemen, there are entire religions based on scriptures that are not 181 pages long.
Fact.
I mean, I don't know any other way to say it. There are people who believe in gods or some sort, and their scriptures are not 181 pages long. This is a long document, very detailed. You'll look here, look at all the different sections, capital letters. Oh, goodness. When you see capital letters, you're cooked. You're just absolutely cooked. Look at all these different authorities. Look at all these. We got a Victoria's Secret catalog appearance. We got to turn to page 81 to somebody. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. But you've got all these different citations. This is a long, detailed, defense-produced document. Tyler Robinson's team produced this document. So we're going to slide all the way down, ladies and gentlemen, to page 78. To page 78. And we're going to pick up, I think we're going to slide to page 78. Oh, yeah. Page 78. In short, this document's entire purpose is to say, we, the defense, Tyler Robinson, want to keep cameras out of the courtroom. Now, I will admit, let me pull this down for a second. I got to look you in the eye because I want you to see. I got to admit, I was concerned when I saw that. When I saw the defense was taking this position, this was several weeks ago, I was a little concerned.
Everybody was a little concerned. Everybody kind of thought that the defense team was maybe in on it and not going to give Tyler the best defense possible. This episode right here will completely demolish that theory because the defense team has done a phenomenal job.
I thought, oh, are they trying to bury the guy? They're trying to hide it? They're in on it? I'm not so sure anymore. You should read this document. It's fairly compelling. And what it paints is a picture of a criminal defendant, an accused criminal defendant who has a presumption of innocence, whose guilt and suggested punishment of death has been proposed by the President of the United States, the Vice President of the United States, the Governor of the state of Utah, the Sheriff of the county in which he will be tried, the Sheriff of his home county. This is not an ordinary case. This doesn't usually happen. This doesn't usually happen. If you want to know what effort goes into framing a patsy, you should read this document. It's unbelievable.
Yep.
It's unbelievable how much effort has gone into framing this guy. It quotes the TPUSA people. It quotes all kinds of people.
Jack Posobiec.
What other case have that many high-profile figures weighed in and said, he's guilty, he did it, and he should die?
Yep.
Very few cases, very few cases. So I want to just paint where we are now. That's what's happening. What they're saying is we want to close the courtroom because every time any news breaks in this case, the president, the vice president, the governor, all the former co-employees, ErikaKirk, everybody runs out there and says, oh, look, here's a piece of evidence. He's guilty. He should fry. We should shoot him.
No, give me a second, guys. Sorry.
It's unbelievable. You should read this document. Until I read it, I thought, man, you're right. This is kind of compelling. Maybe if I was the judge, I would close the courtroom. I don't know. I don't want it closed, but that's for my own selfish motives because I want to cover the case. It would be difficult to cover the case if the courtroom's closed. We wouldn't be able to watch it. We wouldn't be able to get video clips. We wouldn't be able to evaluate the way witnesses looked. We wouldn't be able to evaluate their demeanor. All the things the jury is allowed to evaluate, by the way. The jury is allowed to evaluate demeanor, whether or not someone looks credible. Those are all on the table. And you can't evaluate any of that if the courtroom's closed. You might not even know what evidence is being introduced or what was said about it. Depends on what reporters make it in and what they tell you. And so from a selfish perspective, I want to watch the trial. I've invested a lot of time. You have invested a lot of time watching, preparing, reading court cases, reading documents, looking over evidence. I've spent 100 hours looking at stupid maps of Utah.
Yep.
Looking at what the hell's in Panguitch, Utah. I mean, I spent a day looking over every square inch of Panguitch, Utah and the surrounding area. Why? Because I heard Tyler Robinson had a stake there that night. I don't even know if that's true. But I spent 10 hours looking at maps of Panguitch, Utah, pulling property records of everybody who lived around the steakhouse, everybody who lived in the surrounding area, saw his grandma's old house, saw his aunt's house. I saw all kinds of stuff in Panguitch, Utah. I want to see the trial. If I'm going to spend a day looking at Panguitch, I want to watch the trial.
Yep.
But I understand my desires, from the judge's perspective, should be subordinated to a fair trial, particularly when the death penalty is on the table. It's a very compelling motion. You should read it. But I want to read a portion of it because something popped out of this motion that is jaw-dropping. And I want to open with it. I don't want to hide the ball. We're going right to the heart of the matter tonight. Something popped up, and I think they put the timestamps on purpose because the timestamps were irrelevant. I think they put the timestamps on purpose so that it would pop up on us. This is a statement from the Seventh Circuit talking about whether or not to close a trial. Disclosures concerning such matters are fraught with almost incurable prejudice. They could infringe on a defendant's Fifth Amendment privilege. In view of the natural tendency to draw adverse inference from the assertion of privilege and the careful attempts to avoid comment about such choice during trial, it seems the court can at least require that the attorneys who publicly discuss such matters must prove that their comment was not the type that poses a serious and imminent threat of interference with a fair trial. Here's what the point they're making. So many people made public pronouncements, including witnesses in this case. So many people made public pronouncements that Tyler Robinson was not cooperating, that he was not answering questions, that he was whatever. So many people made public comments on this that they're saying it's impossible to give a fair trial. And if you let cameras in the courtroom and he takes the fifth, every headline's going to read Tyler Robinson refuses to testify. And I agree with him. I think it would be devastating. I've tried cases. I've tried high-profile cases. I tried a case with a guy who was accused of assaulting like 300 people. It made national news. It was a huge deal. He was a bad guy. We had actual spats with the guy. I don't want to say he was a bad guy. I don't mean that. But we spatted a few times where he did not appreciate some of the things we were doing. But they were in his best interest. But nevertheless, here's what they're saying is, at some point in the trial, the prosecution's either going to call Tyler or there's going to be some, I don't know how they do it in Utah. There's going to be some sort of a hearing where Tyler has to state on the record, outside the presence of the jury, by the way. This is important. This happens outside the presence of the jury. But he's going to have to state on the record that he understands he has a constitutional right to defend himself, a constitutional right to speak, and a constitutional right to not speak. He can weigh in on the case. He can say that he wants to testify, or he can weigh in on the case and say he doesn't want to testify. And afterwards, if he says he doesn't want to testify, oftentimes, most states require that there's some sort of a soliloquy. And that soliloquy is between the judge directly with the defendant, and they ask, you understand what you're giving up here. You will never get another bite at the apple. This is your only chance to testify at trial. And if you pass, you can't later say you want to now you want to testify. It's over. You can't testify on appeal. It's over. You will never be able to speak about your guilt or innocence. Do you understand what you're giving up? Yes. Are you voluntarily giving it up? Yes. You know what voluntary means. No one's giving you any duress. Yes. No one's got a gun against your head. No one's promised you anything. No. They've not promised you your case will go better if you don't. No. They go through and they make sure it's knowing and voluntary. And after that, they accept it. I think the Tyler's defense lawyer's point is, if that sort of thing happened in front of the camera, they would fry him with it. He must be guilty. He's keeping his mouth shut. He doesn't want to testify. Here's where it gets interesting. We scroll to the next page. The state will not be able to produce such proof in this case. And then they reference a bait stamp document at page 20, indicates that on the evening of his arrest, we now know he was arrested on September 11th. He was arrested on September 11th, the day after the shooting. Now, we didn't find out about it until 7 a.m. the next morning, 8 a.m., depending on where you live. Maybe as late as 9 a.m. if you're on the East Coast. We didn't find out about it until the next morning. But there was stuff happening behind the scenes. On the evening of his arrest, Tyler Robinson declined to be interviewed without having an attorney present. He did not say, so there's a couple of points here. Point one, Tyler Robinson did not say, I am not going to cooperate.
The April 15th tax deadline is coming.
No, he didn't.
And your max refund is a few steps away with TurboTax. Plus, the new tax law can boost
All he
refunds
said
by
was
up
he
to
wanted
$1,000.
an attorney.
Beat the April 15th tax deadline
he even
and get
gave
every
an
dollar you
attorney's name.
deserve with TurboTax.
Hi, my name is Leanne.
So the narrative that
I'm
he
a mother
wasn't
of two. I
cooperating
have one
is
special needs
total
child.
bullshit.
He did not say, I'm not going to cooperate. And I'm going to read you the transcript in a second. They have a transcript of this encounter. He never said, I'm never going to speak to you guys. Instead, he said, I don't want to speak without a lawyer. And that's a key distinction. One is, I will never talk to you, you dirty SOBs. The other is, I really want to seek my constitutional right to have counsel advise me on what I should and shouldn't say. Now, we all know they took that and said, Tyler's not cooperating. Tyler's not speaking. It made him look intransigent. It made him look like he's dug in. It made it look like this is a hardened criminal who's out there firing high-powered rifle rounds at American treasures, national political figures, high-profile assassination, and then running off and sulking. You can't get the truth out of me, copper. That's how it was presented. But I want you to read what happened. And more importantly, I want you to read when it happened. This is very important. Very, very important. What happened and when it happened. So let's look at the what first. This is the police officer talking. So Tyler, before we begin, I'm just going to read you your rights. Okay, you have the right to remain silent. If you've ever watched a cop show based in America, you've seen this. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in court. You have the right to talk to a lawyer before advice, before we ask you any questions. You have the right to have a lawyer with you during your questioning. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed for you before any questioning begins. And if you decide to answer questions, now you can stop at any time, okay? So are you good? Are you good to proceed? I'd love to talk to you. Here's what he says. I'd like to speak with my legal counsel. I'm hoping for a fellow in Utah named Doug Terry. Okay. Told he's pretty good attorney here, but I think my folks are trying to get a hold of him, but I think his office is closed for the night. Closed for the night. Okay. But until I've had the opportunity to speak with someone, I'd like to remain silent. Now, let's just talk about the what first. Does this sound like the way it was reported? Is this consistent with what everyone reported, which is he's not cooperating? He's dug in. He's remaining silent. No, not at all.
Nope.
And that's the part the defense team chose to key in on. The content, the what. I'm going to get to the when in a second. But the what. He chose to decline for the time being to say anything until he's had an opportunity to talk to a lawyer. He even named a particular lawyer, a guy named Doug Terry. We'll look at him in a second. He was right. He's a pretty good lawyer. That's who he wanted to talk to, and his parents were trying to get a hold of him. His office was closed for the night. I think that's a key fact. His office was closed for the night. It lets us know what day this took place. But I'll get to that in a second, too. We already know what day it took place. It took place on September 11th. I can almost guarantee you. Now let's look at the when, because the when is going to play a huge, huge component in tonight's show. This exchange started at 6:25 p.m. There's no reason in the world the defense would have put the time in this document if they didn't want us to see it. This was a message to people like this show, Candace Owens, and others who are looking into this matter saying, I don't think Tyler Robinson did it. That timestamp right there is a loud clarion signal to us, to you, the audience. They know that they can and can't say certain things publicly. The defense can't come out and say, you realize he was Mirandized at 6:25 p.m. on the 11th. You know what that does to the timeline, right? They can't say that. One, it would be unbecoming of them. But two, it goes right to the heart of defense lawyers shouldn't be trying the case in the public. And there's potential ethical implications with that. But they can put anything they want that they feel like is relevant for the judge to help make a decision into the pleading. I don't know why the time matters for them. Whether he said this is totally plenty. All you need to know is for the purpose we're trying to make, all he said was he wanted to talk to a lawyer first. We even have the bait stamp time, right? Because there's a transcript here and it has the time on the video. So on the video, it's the 3-minute and 36-second mark. If you're just trying to identify where it is, that's plenty. You don't need anything else. But they didn't choose to just include the text. They didn't choose to just tell the judge if he wanted to double check the words where to go look. They chose to put the time of day. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, the defense is watching. And I'm glad they are. This was a key inclusion in this document. This inclusion in this document was a signal to shows like this. They're lying about Tyler Robinson. And I want to tell the defense, we hear you. And I want to tell the prosecution, you should be ashamed of yourselves. I want to tell the FBI and the governor, you should be ashamed of yourselves. I want to tell all the Fed-slop eaters over there just mowing down on Fed-slop, you should be ashamed of yourselves. You should reevaluate your position based on that timestamp alone, and tonight's show's going to prove it. Tonight's show's going to prove it.
When the sawdust settles and the engine roars, the thing you care about is a job well done. But when
Because I want to do a little math. Want to do a little math, guys. He was Mirandized at 6:25 p.m. I guarantee you that was the night of the 11th. Why? Because why would they wait to hire a lawyer until the evening of the following day? They announced at 7 a.m. that he had been captured. He turned himself in the night before. You're going to turn your son in on a potential capital case, but you're going to wait 24 hours for some reason to call a lawyer after business hours the next day? Guys, he was shot on a Wednesday. That means September 11th, or he was taken down on a Wednesday. I don't want to say shot. He was taken down on Wednesday. That means September 11th was a Thursday. You're trying to hire a lawyer for your son to save his life, to keep him from being executed by the state of Utah. You are not going to wait until Friday night to pick up the phone and start calling a lawyer and say, well, I guess they're closed for the night. And he didn't say closed for the weekend. He said closed for the night. I'm telling you right now, this 6:25 is September 11th. And I dare someone to say otherwise. I dare someone to say otherwise. They will be wrong. All external evidence, all context clues point to the fact that this was 6:25 p.m. on the night of September 11th. And I'm about to show you why that's so devastating to the Fed-slop narrative, why that's so devastating to the cops, why that's so devastating to the FBI, and why it points to the fact that Tyler Robinson was set up. This is a big show. I hope you're glued in. First, I want to show you quickly who he was trying to reach. A very respected attorney, a guy named Doug Terry. Here is a brief article about when Doug Terry resigned. Doug Terry, this was articles December 17th, 2025. He resigned at the end of last year. A passion for helping people. Washington County honors public defender for nearly 40 years of service. That's him. Let me tell you, you get 40 years of experience trying cases, you learn a few things about what a defendant should and shouldn't say when being Mirandized. I see why they're trying to reach out to him. This article's glowing: integrity, ethics, empathy, compassion among the terms used to describe long-serving attorney Doug Terry, as he was recognized for nearly 4 decades of work within Washington County's legal system. Most recently as the county's managing public defender. So Tyler Robinson knew what he was asking for. He wasn't just saying, I want a lawyer. I want that guy, the guy who's been working in this court system for 4 decades, representing people like me. I need good advice. I need someone with empathy, compassion, understanding. Here's why it matters. 6:25 p.m. The big bang occurred at 12:23. 6:25 p.m. would have been the 30-hour mark, 30 hours and 2 minutes. Not 33 hours. 33 hours would have been 9:23 p.m. 9:23. There was a lot going on at 6:25 p.m. at the 30-hour mark. A lot going on. We're going to talk about some of it. I think it was happening because he unexpectedly turned himself in early. I don't think he was supposed to turn himself in early.
Nope, he was not.
Here are a couple of other facts. One,
Totally fucked
Washington
up their
County,
plans.
the Washington County Sheriff's Office is in the business of arresting criminals. When you bring in a criminal who allegedly had confessed to his family, the very first thing you're going to do is Mirandize him on the record. You are not going to let someone sit in your holding pen for hours without Mirandizing him. It's just never going to happen. What if he blurts out a confession? Can't use it. What if someone who works for the Washington County Sheriff's Office runs in there to check on him and says, well, what happened, man? He said, I did it. I didn't mean to. You can't use it. Can't use it. You forgot to Mirandize him.
Yep.
If that had happened, it would have been a national scandal. There's no way they're going to let him in the building without Mirandizing him. That's the first thing they're going to do. They're going to bring him in. They're going to sit him down. They're going to say, hey, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Here are your rights. You good with answering? No, I'm not. Okay, good. We don't want to talk to you anyway. We're going to wait on the state and the feds to show up, but look, it's a serious business, people. We had to ask you, we had to get it on the record. Now, we know for a fact when they announced to the world that they had him. We know for a fact when they announced to the world they had him because there was a press conference at 7 a.m. Utah time. 7 a.m. Utah time on Friday.
Running a business is nonstop. Unfortunately, so are cyber threats. Optimum Business Secure 5
morning. 7 a.m. Utah time on Friday morning. This is a clip from that press conference. I want to play a clip of it because it's going to give us some context clues on things that were going on behind the scenes and what the timing was like. So let me play just a brief clip. This is Governor Cox. This is him famously announcing, we got him. 7 a.m. Friday morning. Friday morning, September 12th. 7 a.m. Friday morning, September 12th. I'm going to play a clip of this and then point out why we know he was Mirandized at 6:25 on the 11th. I had no idea why there's no because he's not talking yet.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. This press conference I'm going to submit to you was at 7 a.m. local time, 8 a.m. Central Time, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. We got him. Now, think about the implications of the 6:25 p.m. timeline. If they brought Tyler Robinson into Washington County, or into Utah County, and then had a 7 a.m. press conference, and they announced to the world we got him, you're telling me they would have had this press conference on a full 12 hours after the 7 a.m. press conference, waited until 6:25 p.m. on Friday, and then Mirandize him and start asking questions? No. They're going to Mirandize him the second they bring him in. They arrest you, they Mirandize you. I'm going to show you a document today, a leaked document, and I'm going to suggest he was Mirandized probably between 2 and 4 a.m. Again, a second time in Utah County. Not 6:25 p.m. the following day. That 6:25 p.m. day was September 11th. I guarantee it. Mark it down. I'll be stunned if that timeline did not hold up. I don't think they would have included it in the document for any other reason. Not only that, the pleading says that he was Mirandized on the evening of his arrest. If you go back to that pleading, it says on the evening of his arrest, he was Mirandized. Well, he was arrested on September 11th. So on the evening of his arrest, on the evening of September 11th, he was Mirandized. The 6:25 p.m. date matters. Now, let's get into why it matters so much. I'm going to show you a bit of a press conference that I think is a flat-out lie. And I think we're going to prove tonight it's a flat-out lie. I don't know if it has anything to do with why this guy just resigned, but Sheriff Brooksby just resigned. We're not sure why. But this is Sheriff Brooksby, in my opinion, telling a flat-out lie. In my opinion. I want you to listen to this timeline as he goes through what happened the night Tyler Robinson was initially taken into custody, the night of September 11th.
Charlie Kirk was assassinated at UVU in the afternoon. About a 33-hour manhunt ensued.
They're already planning the 33 hours. They're already planting the 33 hours. Remember, 33 hours would have been 9:30. 9:30, really 9:23. So they're already planting this 9:23 timeline in your head. Just listen.
And I was winding down for the evening. And at exactly 8:02 on the 11th, I received a call from a friend of mine who happens to be a retired detective that worked for me for many years. I didn't put that out there initially. I wanted to protect that individual as much as possible. Unfortunately, in the court documents, which is standard, he was referenced as a retired Washington County deputy. So I didn't put that out there. It was in the court docs. I was trying to protect even that information and just saying retired law enforcement in general. So I get a call from my friend, and his said, "Hey, how you doing?" Good. And it's not, he's been retired a few years. We'll call each other. It's not unusual for me to get a call from him or vice versa. And at 8:02 p.m., he calls me. Hey, I can tell his voice is kind of shaky. So my first thought is, who died? Like who's he going to tell me that died? And then I couldn't fathom what actually came out of his mouth. So he said, "Hey, I know who Charlie Kirk shooter is. I know the family through religious association, and he's in Washington County now, and we're working on trying to get him to come in voluntarily." During that phone call, some information was provided about Tyler potentially having some suicidal ideations, was en route to a remote area of Washington County. The parents convinced him not to do that, and conveyed that they would stand by him and help him surrender peacefully. So at that point, that phone call was 1 minute and 41 seconds.
This whole
I immediately called Sheriff Mike
speech
Smith in Utah County.
is a lie.
That call was 1 minute 41. He said it came in at 8:02. 1 minute 41 would be 8:04. 8:04 p.m. That's his story, and he's sticking to it. He might have stuck to it all the way to retirement. He claims he got a call at 8:02. It lasted 1 minute 41 seconds. That's a lot of talk in 1 minute 41, but whatever. He immediately calls Sheriff Mike Smith in Utah County. If only we could verify whether or not he made that call. Well, we can. We know for a fact he did not make that call at 8:04.
Owning a business comes with enough mistakes. Now with Tax Cloud, I know my sales taxes are always right.
When you're away from the spotlight, you have time to think about what really matters.
There you go.
I guarantee you he didn't make that call at 8:04. Why? Here is a release from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Director Patel's remarks at the September 12, 2025 press conference on the Utah Valley University shooting. If you slide down, we find out that this press conference, hold please. Where'd it go? It's saying it's fine. Oh, there it is. The governor led a press conference last night at approximately 8 p.m. So at 8 p.m., there's a press conference. Governor Cox is there. Kash Patel is there. Wonder if anyone else was there. You want to take a stab at who might have been on the stage at 8 o'clock, not taking a phone call from the sheriff of Washington County? Anyone want to guess? Anyone want to guess? I'll be happy to tell you. I'll share it with you. I'd love to spoil the surprise. Remember, at 8:04 p.m., supposedly, the sheriff of Washington County is calling the sheriff of Utah County. Well, this is a press conference that was taking place at 8 p.m.
And his team. It's great to have them on the ground with us tonight. We've had several briefings, and he's had an opportunity to walk the crime scene. We appreciate our local law enforcement here. Again, we have Mike Smith, who is the county sheriff here.
Oh, Sheriff Mike Smith, the county sheriff. He's here, and he looked right at him. I'd like to thank the local law enforcement here. Sheriff Mike Smith, who's here with us. Oops. So maybe 8:04 wasn't exactly the right number. I don't know. But that's Sheriff Bixby's story, and he's sticking to it. Well, we got a lot of other problems with this timeline. We got a ton of other problems with this timeline. We're just getting warmed up, ladies and gentlemen. So Brooksby says, I get a call at 8:02. That's important for the timeline because there were things that happened that hadn't come out yet. And we're going to get to that. For example, if you go to the FBI website, we get a list here of all the media that came out from the FBI, including these pictures. We've all seen these pictures before. We'll talk about the timeline. But you can look and see all the stuff they released. Interesting. But if only we could find out precisely when they were released. Well, we know because we have timestamps. And these timestamps are Central Time because I'm here in God's country in Middle Tennessee. These people are out west in a desert. They live in a kitty litter box. This was the first set of photos released by the FBI. This was released at 9:58 a.m. local time, September 11th. You've seen these pictures. That's a young man with 2 bent legs walking up the stairs, supposedly hiding a rifle down his skinny jeans. This is another picture of a guy who looks nothing like Tyler Robinson walking down the hallway. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So that took place at 9:58 a.m. That doesn't present any problems for our timeline. Here's where it gets really interesting. The FBI rushed to release a second set of photos at 6:17 p.m. local time, 8 minutes before Tyler Robinson, I believe, was Mirandized. That's important timing. It's a very important timing. Here is the second set of photos released at 7:17 p.m. Central Time on September 11th. This is 6:17 p.m. Mountain Time, and I believe 8 minutes before the Miranda warnings were given to Tyler Robinson, meaning, in other words, he was already in custody when they released these photos. These photos right here are interesting to me for a couple of reasons. This is him walking down some stairs. You tell me if you see a rifle. I see none. I see a cell phone, whatever. There's the one leg bent. There's the other leg bent. So I have no idea where this rifle supposedly is located. There's the left leg fully bent. There's the right leg fully bent. I have no idea where this rifle is supposedly hidden. There's the back of his skinny jeans. I still see no rifle. But what's interesting to me about these photos is I want you to look at something here. I want you to look at this guy here. Then I want to go back and I want to look at this guy here. What's interesting to me about this is I don't think these are the same people. I don't think that's the same person. Wearing similar clothing, obviously, but they don't look the same to me. And if you go and you flip through these, that looks like a fundamentally different person than this guy does. This was the photo released in the morning, 9:58. This was the photo released in the afternoon. Why didn't they release them all at the same time? They had them.
Good question.
Why would they release different photos at different times? You obviously had these photos. Does that look like the same person to you? It doesn't look like the same person to me. This guy looks skinnier. This guy looks a little more well-built. Look at those shoulders. They look like a linebacker almost. This guy looks like a waif. But again, if you have a guy in custody at 6:25, he's being Mirandized. Why are you just releasing photos at 6:17? What a weird time to release photos. Especially when you have a press conference coming up. This is the video that was released at 7:59 p.m.
Wireless can feel like a world of traps, expensive bills, tacked on fees, and promises that don't hold up. Suddenly, everything falls apart. Don't fall for the trap.
There you go.
Right at 8 o'clock, really. 7:59 p.m. on September 11th. This is that video of that guy scampering across the roof, dropping down and running off. 7:59 p.m. Here's what's interesting. I want to show a clip from Kash Patel. If ever there was somebody that you need to make a mistake, to say something stupid, to really help you out when your case is, you're not really sure which way to go, just listen carefully to something Kash Patel has to say. I want you to listen to this. See if you hear what I hear. There was a money line in here that had gotten past me, and I heard it for the first time today.
Shortly after that 8 p.m. release, at 10 p.m. local time, the suspect was in custody. Why? Because the father informed us, pursuant to an interview of him, that he looked at the video that we released that evening
That right there's the video he released that evening. Kash Patel is saying, in part, I looked at that video. He thinks his story to you is the father looked at that video and was like, yep, that's the one.
Bullshit.
That's my son. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you look at this little lightened portion here in the middle, and this little bitty pixelated thing. It could be a moth. It could be anything. That is allegedly a human being scampering across the roof. I do believe it's a human being, but there's no way you can tell that watching it. He says he looked in part at the video. That's part of the reason the father was convinced it was him. The video. Really? Really? Now listen to what he says here. Listen very cautiously to what he says right here. Very cautiously.
And the enhanced photos. And
the what? The what photos? I'll play it again. I must not have heard it right. I thought he said enhanced photos. Are they released doctored photos? Hold, please. I've got to listen again.
Shortly after that 8 p.m. release, at 10 p.m. local time, the suspect was in custody. Why? Because the father informed us, pursuant to an interview of him, that he looked at the video that we released that evening and the enhanced photos and identified the suspect.
Ladies and gentlemen,
bullshit.
Wherever you are, if you're not driving and you're not at 10 and 2, raise your hand if you knew those were enhanced photos we've been looking at. Why would they edit the photos? Why not just show us what you have? Or why not tell us these photos have been touched up? I want to go back and look at those photos again because, my goodness, is there evidence these photos were touched up? Well, maybe. Let's look carefully at one of these. Let's look carefully at this photo right here. Have any of you ever seen a right angle on a cheek like that? You see this right here, right in the middle of the face? You might have to get close to your TV or your phone to see this. You've got his sunglasses up here. You've got his chin down here. And then you have what looks like an overlay. If you drill in carefully, it looks like a little overlay right there over his cheek. And then you start going back and looking at the rest of them and we're like, hey, wait a minute. Is that really the same face? Is that the guy we've been looking for this whole time? Because I don't see the right angle on that cheek there. Did they change the ear? That ear doesn't look like the light quite matches the rest of the image. That ear looks super illuminated. His cheek doesn't. His neck doesn't. What do you mean by edited, touched up the photos, enhanced the photo? What does that even mean? And why are you enhancing photos when we're on a national manhunt, an international manhunt?
Yep.
A, you didn't bother releasing the video. Well, maybe now we know why. And maybe that explains why those initial photos you released look nothing like him. I'm sorry, that doesn't look like him, but even that looks like the middle of his face is smudged out if you zoom in on it. You just had the FBI director admit they released photos that were not fair and accurate representations of what were taken. I hope the defense is listening to that. Because to get a photo admitted into evidence has to be a fair and accurate representation of what was taken. Enhanced is not fair and accurate. I'm assuming that's the rule in Utah. It's the rule in every state I've ever practiced in. Is this a fair and accurate representation? Yes, it is. Was this kept in the ordinary course of business? Yes. No, actually, no, it's not. It's been enhanced per the FBI director. I wonder, it makes me wonder if this guy wasn't supposed to be the original Patsy. Because that does not look like the same guy. They look like two different people. But I don't want to get caught up on that. I want to stay on the timeline. Timeline's more important to me than whether or not they're switching out Patsies.
Yep.
So stick with me on the timeline. So the father tells Kash after the 8 p.m. release, after the release of photos, after the release of the video, which didn't happen until 7:59. That's when I knew. That's when I knew. That's when I said, that's my boy. That's the guy. That's him. Well, go back and look at something here. I want to flip through a few pictures, just roll through these. And I want to drill down on this idea that these photos are enhanced. Look at that. Again, there's your right angle here on this cheek. For whatever reason, there's a sharp right angle right on his cheek that Tyler Robinson doesn't have. There's another picture that looks nothing like Tyler Robinson. It almost looks like an Asian kid. Now look at his sideburns here. Those are straight sideburns. These are straight sideburns. Look at the back of his hair. That's straight hair back there. I mean, the poor kid's going bald. He's 22 years old. He's going bald. That's straight hair on the back, straight hair there. Now let's go back up here and look. That looks like curly hair. Those look like curly sideburns. Look at that. That does not look like the same hair or sideburns. This supposedly was just hours apart. Look how light his hair is. Look how light his hair is. That kid's hair is black. Look, you can see it from that's black hair. Now, let's just look at some of these other images. Where is the curly back hair? Where are the curly sideburns? Where's the right angle on the cheek? Where's the hard, sharp right angle on the cheek? I'm not seeing it. It just doesn't look like the same guy to me. But again, I don't want to get caught up on this. I want to stay on the timeline. I want to stay on the timeline because Cash says,
Adobe Acrobat, your team's home base. Collaborate within a shared PDF space. You talk up the teamwork. They think this designed to be a contender. AI helps them finish the rest. Do that with Acrobat.
You can get anything you want on the internet. So why are we still taking gen eds like this? At Sophia Learning, we have a solution. Sophia offers online college-level courses that are designed to transfer for credit, helping thousands of people graduate. Use Sophia and get ahead.
Cash says that it's after the 8 o'clock call, after the 8 o'clock release, the father goes, yep, that's my boy, and that's why they had him in custody by 10 o'clock. Let's look at that. Let's look at what Sheriff Brooks says, or Brooksby. Let's look at what Sheriff Brooksby has to say, because we've got another clip from him. I think it's the same press conference, but it's a little further into the thing. I appreciate the fair use rights here that YouTube allows.
So essentially, we weren't the lead agency. Basically, it was about a 2.5 hour waiting in a room, not communicating with the suspect.
2.5 hours waiting in the room, not communicating with the suspect. That's going to come into play. Just hold that thought in your head. They waited 2.5 hours for the feds to arrive.
Our job was not to interview. Our job was just to get him here. So after about 2.5 hours, we ended up getting federal agents and state agents in, and some of my detectives were asked to go out into the community and secure 2 locations. So the parents' home.
So 2.5 hours for state and federal authorities to come down. Well, that makes sense. Have you seen where Washington County is on a map? Washington County is way the hell down there. It's in the middle of nowhere. I'll show it to you on a map. Let's go to St. George, Utah. This is St. George, Utah, way down yonder way in Utah. This is St. George down here on the Arizona border. And Salt Lake City is all the way up there. So they had to get a state and federal person to come all the way down there. Now let's do some directions here. Let's do, oh, y'all don't look at that. Stop looking. I'll edit it out in post. Y'all didn't see anything. Let me go the Washington County Sheriff's Office. Let me pull it up that way. That's a lot easier. Washington County Sheriff's Office. in Hurricane, Utah. Here we go. Now I want to do a direction from the Salt Lake City, the Utah SBI, State Bureau of Investigation. There we go. Now we can do it without things on here. All right, let's just go to Salt Lake City. It's too far. Not too far. It's just
Baron.
What?
I have the page pulled up for you.
Oh, okay. Where is it?
It's on the screen.
Okay. Oh, there it is, right there. Sorry, thank you.
But I think he might have been stationed in Utah County at the time. So
Okay,
that's where it's mapped from. But give or take 25, 30 minutes.
Yeah. So what does it say there? I can't see. Is it 3.5 hours? 3 hours?
Yeah, so this has I mapped it that day at 8 p.m. the earliest.
Yeah.
And it
Okay.
says 3 hours, 10 minutes to 4 hours.
Yeah.
Everyone estimates 3.5 hours.
Fair enough.
So yeah.
So 3+ hours. Thank you for that. Thank you. 3+ hours to get from Utah County to Washington County. 2+ hours. Excuse me, 3+ hours. And he says 2.5. That's awfully quick. The timeline, it's evidence to me the timeline is already starting to break down. Just like when he said, I called him at 8:04, but we can see he was at a press conference at 8:04 on the screen. On the screen. We've seen evidence of him at a press conference at that time. So it's already breaking down. Why is it so important that the timeline is breaking down? Well, because we have a leaked document that gives us a lot of information. And I want to thank Steven Crowder from Louder with Crowder. Some way he's able to always get these broken documents here. Let me see if I can make this a little larger so we can all read together. Steven Crowder, for whatever reason, is always able to get these breaking documents that no one else can get. This is page 1. Let me go to page 2 here. Page 2. Oh, gosh, that's going to be so small. There we go. You see that arrest date right there? Arrest date, September 11th, 2025. That's the date he was arrested. That's the original arrest of Chyler James Robinson. 10 p.m. 10 p.m. He was arrested by Brian Davis. If you don't know Brian Davis's name, he's the one that did the probable cause statement. We've talked about Brian Davis. The arrest date, 9/11. We've already proven he was arrested on the evening of 9/11, 10 p.m.
Commercials are killing me.
Hey there, I'm John with Owl, and I know that kitting out your adventure van, whether it's
You go back, you remember if we go back to the motion we were looking at earlier, it said on the evening he was arrested, he was Mirandized, and they gave us that 625. This is the defense team basically saying, Baron, Candace, others, we can't communicate with you directly, but I can put seeds inside this motion that you will find because we know you're smart. We know this is a high IQ outfit. We know you guys have high IQ listeners, high IQ viewers, and they'll help point you to this stuff. And they did. And they did. Brian Davis, if he came from Utah County, Daisy just showed you, it's a 3+ hour drive. If he shows up at 10 o'clock, that means he left Utah County before 7 o'clock. Probably around 6:30. A 3.5 hour drive. Otherwise, how does he get to Utah County? I mean, how does he get to Washington County by 10 o'clock? He's arrested at 10 o'clock by the Utah County guy, Brian Davis. If he didn't turn himself in until after 8 o'clock, guess what wouldn't have happened? Utah County wouldn't have known to dispatch anybody to Washington County. They didn't know where he was. Guys, he was Mirandized at 6:25. That timeline is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That timeline is perfect. And what that means is Sheriff Bixby lied to your face.
Mm-hmm.
He lied to your face. Kash Patel lied to your face, in my opinion. Both of them, in my opinion. They lied to your face, which is why they didn't want that document leaking out. Thank you, Steven Crowder, for getting it out. No other explanation for how they picked him up at 10 o'clock. You cannot get from Utah County to there in less than 2 hours. Doesn't work. Timeline doesn't work. Timeline doesn't work. But there's another thing that was critical. Another thing that was absolutely critical to this whole thing. We had to get a confession. We had to get a confession out of this guy. You know, that's a big part of the Fed-slop. You know, he confessed. Talked to his friends on Discord and confessed. Interesting. When did he confess on Discord? Well, let's find out. Because Newsweek has an article with the screen cap of the Discord confession. You guys have heard about this. I don't know if you've ever seen it. But this is very interesting. And I don't see how this is Tyler Robinson. Ladies and gentlemen, this is evidence of Fed-slop.
Yep.
Tyler Robinson's Discord messages revealed.
Yep.
It's interesting here because what we have is a date of 8:57 p.m. Now, it's interesting, and I'll show you why it says 8:57 when it's really 7.
Hey guys, I hate asking, man, but if you could do me a favor and like the stream, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, let me know where you're from. Anything that could really help me break into the algorithm, I would truly appreciate. Yeah, I hate asking, man, but it's the only thing that's going to help me out right now. So if you guys could take a second and do it, I would appreciate it.
7:57. 8:57 because the guy who captured this was in Wisconsin. His name's Klippenstein. Here he is right here. Utah.
Ken Klippenstein is the one that released the the text thread off of Discord. He's also the one that released the PTSD paperwork on David Grush when the government was trying to discredit him. So I think Ken Klippenstein is allegedly a federal asset that will leak anything on anybody to shape the government narrative. So I trust nothing that comes from him.
Governor's office via AP Ken Klippenstein. When Klippenstein captured this Discord chat, he was in Wisconsin, so it was timestamped in Wisconsin. Just like my Twitter feed timestamps to Central Time, even though I'm reviewing things that were drafted on Mountain Time. And so when you see that 8:57, just understand that should be 7:57 local time. Hey guys, I have bad news for you all. It was me at UVU yesterday. I'm sorry for all this. I'm surrendering through a sheriff friend in a few moments. Oh, like 8:02 when Brooksby said you did? Liar, in my opinion. Thanks for all the good times and laughs. You've all been amazing. Thank you all for everything. What? Bro, you expect me to believe that this guy was Mirandized at 6:25? And then an hour and a half later, he's all happy-go-lucky, fun confessing to his friends on Discord? Huh? Impossible to believe. Absolutely stunningly impossible to believe. No human being should buy this level of Fed-slop. Period. End of story. It's absolutely maddening that this is being pawned off on us. But they had to get absolute certainty in the minds of the jurors of Utah County, which is like an 80% Republican state, that a wild, rabid leftist living with a trans furry was the one who did it. And doggone it, here's his confession. Now notice, we don't have timestamps from all the text messages they allegedly have. Haven't seen those. Notice, they don't read anything like this. He doesn't capitalize anything here. He doesn't use apostrophes when he's using contractions. I'm surrendering through a sheriff friend in a few moments. Thanks for all the good times and laughs. You've all been amazing. Thank you all for everything. Huh? Like, that's what you say when you're retiring from a rec league basketball. You know, like, hey guys, I've enjoyed doing fantasy football with you guys. I'm not going to do it this year. Thanks for all the laughs. We had a good time. Thanks for everything. But you cannot convince me that at 7:57 p.m. this guy had a phone in his hand. Nope. I'm not buying it. You can't convince me at 7:57 while the Washington County Sheriff believes they have a stone cold assassin in their custody that they let him access a computer. Nope. Not buying it. Nope. That's Fed-slop. That's Fed-slop. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. Defense team, we've heard you loud and clear. We know you're telling us stay on the case, and we are. And we are. There's no need for them to put the 6:25 p.m. timestamp at all into the transcript. No need whatsoever. The bait stamp would have been fine. The page number would have been fine. The timestamp of the video would have been fine. You know, hey, Judge, at the 3:24 mark, this is when this exchange starts. They put the timestamp to signal us. You guys know better than this. You guys know better than this. I venture to say it's impossible for Tyler Robinson to have crafted that confession. And if he didn't craft that confession, why would they fake it? Why would they fake it? Why would you risk? You understand the damage that could do in front of a jury? You understand the damage that could do in front of a jury? If you can prove to a jury my guy was in custody, hey, now you know why they lost the footage of him turning himself in? You remember that? They lost that footage? I could pull that article up. I didn't have it ready for tonight. Lost footage, Tyler Robinson turning himself in. You know why they lost that footage, right? You know why they lost that footage? Here's an article of it. This is from KUTV. They do good reporting there, by the way.
Making how-to videos used to take me hours. I'd record, mess up, start over, and edit forever until I finally said enough. So I tried a few tools, and Guide was by far the best option. It records my screen, and it uses AI to turn into a clean step-by-step video with voiceover, captions, and translations in over 40 languages.
Confirm your selection to proceed with creating the board.
It can even blur sensitive information, and sharing is just one click. So trust me, stop wasting hours on stuff that AI can now do in minutes. Install the Chrome extension and try it for free. And if you got questions, just drop them in the comments.
You're here because you want to make a difference. Quantum University's new Humanitarian Award Program is designed for people like you, those who are committed to both personal growth and serving others. Our mission is grounded in the belief that a passion for holistic health naturally extends beyond the individual, creating a ripple effect of healing and positive change in the world. That's why we created this Humanitarian Award Program, to support students who are ready to grow, serve, and lead. The Humanitarian Award Program provides eligible students with a tuition reduction, known as an award, in exchange for service hours dedicated to supporting community wellness. This is not just a discount, but is part of a shared commitment. For every $100 in humanitarian awards received, you'll contribute 1 hour of service. The total award amount and service hour requirement, agreed upon at the time of enrollment, will depend on the degree path you choose. Here's how you'll contribute your hours of service. When you enroll in an eligible degree program, you'll receive a complimentary health coach certification program to help you kickstart your journey. This program can be completed in as little as 6 months, and upon getting certification, you can start seeing clients and earning income while working toward your core degree. Upon certification, you'll join our Alumni Association as a Platinum member. where you will receive a special discount on the monthly membership, which will allow you access to a range of business-building resources, mentorship, and ongoing support as you grow your practice. You'll also submit your listing in our corporate wellness directory, where alongside your own efforts, your services will be promoted to the public, helping you attract potential clients. As part of your commitment, you'll provide humanitarian service hours through the corporate wellness directory by offering free consultations or wellness sessions, with all hours logged in the template provided within your student course site.
Guys.
By reducing your financial
2 News investigates uncovered possible missing surveillance video of Tyler Robinson turning himself into the Washington County Sheriff's Office just days after the allegedly shooting Charlie Kirk. 2 News filed a public records request with the Washington County Sheriff's Office for video showing Robinson entering the Washington County Jail holding area and video of Robinson in a holding room. We do not have any records responsive to this portion of the request, as Tyler Robinson did not go to or enter the jail area.
Shocker.
Holding room video was denied as part of the investigation. A few weeks later, 2 News re-upped the request in a more generalized fashion, inquiring for surveillance videos showing Tyler Robinson walking into the county sheriff's office. Our office does not have any applicable records responsive to the request, as the surveillance footage is no longer available after the 30-day retention period. In other words, Washington County was on notice that people wanted to see this footage. They were coy in saying, you didn't ask exactly what we have, so we're not going to show you anything. You asked for footage over there, and we only have footage over here, so you've got to ask a different way. That's like making your kid say please before you give him another pizza roll. Dad, I ate my 3 pizza rolls. May I have another? Son, what's the magic word? Oh, Dad, may I please have another pizza roll? Oh, yes, little Jimmy. Here you go. Here's your pizza roll. News 2's calling. They'd like to see the footage of Tyler Robinson in the holding cell. Well, we don't have to release the holding cell footage. Well, they also wanted to see him entering the holding or jail area. Guess what? We don't have it because he was never on that side of the office. Quick, delete it. They asked the wrong question. Now you know why they deleted it. They're guilty as hell. Guys, these guys are guilty. I'm sorry, that's my opinion, but come on. Now, if they'll lie to you about this, what else will they lie to you about? What about the text messages? What about the text messages? What about where the rifle was found? Huh? What about where the rifle was found? What about what was written on the cartridges? What about what the roommate said? What about what the parents said? Interesting. Why would they lie about this? This is so devastating to the case. So devastating to their claim. If you catch law enforcement manufacturing evidence of guilt against someone, manufacturing a confession on a Discord group, your guy walks. I'm sorry, he walks. I don't think there's a jury in the country who's going to convict somebody. I mean, O.J. Simpson. Mark Furman got caught playing with evidence. He walked. I don't think he did it. I did an opening on that. If you didn't watch that, go back and watch it. And I don't know any other way to say it, folks. They're caught red-handed here. Period. End of story. This is the making of a patsy. They lied to you about what time he turned himself in. They lied to you about what time the people from Utah County came down to get him. They lied to you about having Mirandized him because he said we didn't ask him any questions. Well, of course you didn't ask him any questions. He wouldn't answer them. He wanted a lawyer. The office was closed for the night. Not for the weekend. This was Thursday night. He's closed for the night. When they're going to call Terry in the morning. They'll lie to you about the I'm so over these people. I am so over these people. Just so he gets credit, I only played it from the Newsweek, but I want to show you the original guy who captured this, a guy named Ken Klippenstein. Here's his website, kenklippenstein.com. This is where he showed the footage. Again, another photo that looks nothing like the people in the surveillance photo, but you probably already guessed that. And here is the leaked document directly from Ken Klippenstein, where he explains that this was because he was in Wisconsin. There, right there.
I haven't been to the grocery store in months because this delivery service offers hundreds of high-quality, non-GMO groceries and recipes that help me feel my best daily. Hungry is the easiest way to take all the stress and guesswork out of eating healthy. Think of it as having your own personal shopper and nutritionist in one, with curated groceries and personalized meal plans that ship straight to your door. Building the perfect grocery list takes seconds.
It's right there. If you think we're making too big of a leap about the timeline and 757 and all that good stuff, we're not the only people to have made that leap. The Washington Post, the preferred leaking outfit of the CIA. It was me, suspect in Charlie Kirk shooting, appeared to confess in Discord chat. I'm sorry for all of this. Read a message from the suspect's account, according to two people familiar with the message and screenshots obtained by the Post. And you will see the number 33 show up again. And you will see, I'm surrendering through a sheriff friend in a few moments, said the message, posted at 7:57 local time in Utah. Robinson was taken into custody at 10 p.m. that night. Well, not really. Now we're finding out they've lied about it. And I'm telling you guys, I just believe they lied. I am so repulsed by our federal government right now. I am so repulsed by our federal government right now. This whole idea of a 33-hour manhunt was so that they could manufacture evidence against a patsy. It was all so they could manufacture evidence against a patsy. Let me show you one more quick item here. This is a timeline that we've put together here for you. So you can kind of see it all laid out in one screen. That way, if you want to screen cap it or you want to whatever, you'll be able to see it here. This is from Utah time, the moment of the Big Bang, 12:23. You get the FBI assets on the scene just 16 minutes later. Weird, huh? Weird that FBI agents were on the scene within 16 minutes. 5:40, they find a weapon near the Losi Center. Then you've got the 7 a.m. press conference with Bo Mason that says they found a high-powered rifle. You got the first set of FBI photos released. This is on September 11th. The FBI announces the $100,000 prize. That's 10:44 a.m. 5 p.m. Cash and his deputy stroll onto the scene, baby. Cash is here. The country sensation is not. She is on tour. But Cash Money Patel is in the house. Utah, watch out. Hand me a ladies' medium jacket, please. 5:01 p.m. This is interesting. I didn't play this, but this was something noted by our friend that sent this tip. Erin Burnett at 5 p.m., she's a CNN reporter or CNN host. She breaks in to the opening of her program that started at 5 p.m. and said there's rapid developments in the Charlie Kirk case. Which is interesting to me because really nothing else was going on unless you knew Tyler Robinson was about to turn himself in. And I would suggest to you that if you listen carefully to what Sheriff Bixby had to say, it makes sense that Tyler Robinson was on the radar here at 5:01 p.m. for her FBI sources to say that there were rapid developments. Because Sheriff Bixby said the concerned retired sheriff deputy neighbor said that Tyler Robinson was driving around rural Utah threatening to off himself. A very dark, very dreary, dark development, right? And I mean, that's not something you joke about. Like when you're saying that out loud, you got something going on inside your mind. Well, if he's being Mirandized at 6:25, it's possible Erin Burnett at 5 o'clock had a source in her ear saying they've got a guy in southern Utah. Stand by. This is rapidly developing. Well, if that's the case, why is the FBI releasing additional photos, doctored photos, by the way, per Cash Patel, doctored photos? Why are they releasing additional doctored photos? Because he's being Mirandized at 6:25, which means he's already in custody. He's at the Washington County Sheriff's Office, and you don't just walk in and they like Mirandize you in the parking lot. Like you got to park your car, you got to get in, you got to walk up. The sheriff has to meet you. They probably, I don't know if they cuff him or if they just kind of like have two beefy, deputies walking beside you with their hands on their pistols. I don't know how that worked. But you have to understand that takes a few minutes. So they're releasing the additional photos while Tyler Robinson is either en route or already at the Washington County Sheriff's Office. And then an hour and a half later, they're still hosting a press conference saying that they are releasing new information. Guys, you've already dispatched somebody to Washington County to pick him up. If this timeline is correct, and I believe it is. The whole reason for the press conference, the whole reason for the additional photos was to set up the narrative that his parents recognized him. That's the whole reason they set up this press conference and released the additional photos at 6:17, is to set up the idea that his parents recognized him, because not a single person on the planet would have believed from those first two photos I showed you that his parents recognized him. They look nothing like him. I'll remind you, no one's looking at that and going, oh, little Tyler, with half his face smudged off. And that, I'm sorry, that's someone else. If you put that photo in front of the jury and you say, yeah, his dad recognized him, the jury's going to go, what? Huh? What photo? That photo? No. No, not that photo. I'm telling you, whoever you are, buddy, you got to weigh easy.
Hey, guys,
I think
I'm
you were
signing
Patsy
off.
#1.
Drop a like, share, comment.
I think you got off scot-free there,
help
pal.
me boost myself on the algorithm.
Whoever you
I gotta
are,
be at work in like 4 hours.
you need to be thanking your
so I'm
lucky
gonna get, like,
stars
no sleep.
on this very day.
But
I don't want to get
you.
into the different
I'll be
people. I
on
want to go back to
tomorrow.
the timeline.
Hope you guys have a good night.
And this is when all